Greetings, Upstanders. Dr. O here. And so I watched a video, a powerful video by Reverend Otis Moss III, who was talking about the way African Americans should be engaging with the African continent. And it was really powerful. He was talking about what's happening in places like Burkina Faso with President Traore and how, he's been labeled as somebody who's making sure that the country is represented by, for African people, cutting deals with the French. And he mentioned other countries in West Africa. He talked about projects that are going on in Rwanda and Kagame and the like. And when he was bringing up some of these points, the audience was cheering in the places they should have been cheering. They were, because he was talking about the importance of African independence, and he was also talking about the importance of not this missionary go over and help the starving Africans, but engaging with African people. And I thought that was great. He talked about how several countries on the continent are engaging in dual citizenship, which could also be helpful for African Americans who are looking for, different nationalities and stuff. I thought that was also powerful. One of the things that we need to be really mindful of when we have these conversations about African Americans engaging the African continent is that there are three views that people take when engaging with the African continent. And note, I'm saying continent many times because Africa's not a country; it's 55 nations. Some I've experienced African Americans have a racist view towards the continent, which I'll explain. Some have a romanticized view of the continent, and some have a realistic view of the continent. When I talk about the racist view of the continent, many African Americans go with this heathen mentality that has been put on us by the white Western churches that were primarily responsible for slavery, and this idea of Africans being savage and heathens, and that African Americans who go there need to go there to save these people. Africans don't need saving. It's a large continent. You have Christians, you have Muslims, all types of different groups, and the origins of many of these religions, including Christianity, are on the African continent. So if you find yourself as somebody with that type of lens and you plan on engaging the continent, you absolutely need to check it. As the Aboriginal saying goes, if you're coming to help, stay home. But if you're coming because you believe our existence is intertwined, then by all means, let's work together. So let's get rid of that. Now, Reverend Otis Moss III video had me thinking of the romantic view that many people take of the African continent. This idea that I'm going to go back to that country, one of these countries, I'm going to find my roots, I'm going to blend with the people, I'm going to be welcomed, etc., etc., etc. Now, in some situations that does happen, but in many situations it does not. But also, it's very important that we who are looking at embracing leaders like Traore in Burkina Faso and other people like Kagame and their moves, applauding various things that they're doing, but are you actually talking to the people on the ground? What do the people in Burkina Faso and in Rwanda and all of these other places say about their leaders? You see, sometimes we're so quick to praise, but we're afraid to critique. Now, look, I'm going to give y'all my expertise in this. I don't have expertise as it relates to the human rights abuses or alleged human rights abuses of Traore in Burkina Faso. I don't know anything about that, but I do know that Thomas Sankara, definitely, who's also labeled as a Pan-African hero, understandably so, is somebody who also had a fair share of human rights violations charged towards him. Now, let's talk about Rwanda. This country praises Rwanda. He's got a partnership with the NBA, NASCAR. Kendrick Lamar has gone out and performed there. John Legend recently performed there. But look, people call it a shining jewel of the continent, but he's also responsible for killing over 6 million people in Congo. He's also responsible for exploiting the minerals and resources that many of us find in all of our cell phones and computers, including whatever device you're watching this on right now. That's what he's done in Congo. Now, if you actually are a Rwandan citizen, as I noticed when I was there in 2018, you cannot criticize the government or else you will disappear. And you think, I ain't talking about these ICE raids that we're seeing in the United States, like you will be gone. If an African American is going to engage with a place like Rwanda, would you speak on that? Would you critique on that? I remember when Reverend Jesse Jackson was asked about Mobutu Sese Seko in the 80s, and one of his responses was something to the effect of like African solutions for African problems. So we could talk about Congo. People praise Mobutu. They love the fact that when he became president in the 60s that he made Congolese people get rid of their Western names and, embrace African names and change the name of the country to Zaire. All of these things are beautiful. Then, of course, Rumble in the Jungle, Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman, international thing. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But was anybody talking about the fact that Mobutu gathered a bunch of Congolese activists and killed them in the same stadium that the Rumble in the Jungle happened? He killed them like the night before or a few weeks before, and basically was saying to anybody in Congo that if you embarrass us on the entire in front of the world, this could happen to you. Do we not critique that because he Africanized things? Do we not critique the fact that he would take people's opposing politicians' wives and sleep with them just to remind him that he was in control? Do we not critique that because maybe he's opening up the doors to black churches from the U.S. and things like this is a problem. So that's that romanticized view. This person is doing this for the African people, but you're not talking to all of the people on the ground. And so anybody who's engaging with an African country needs to talk to people on the ground who are not represented who are not part of the ruling party, part of their ethnic group, part of the region that they come from, so on and so forth. Because the fact of the matter is, many African Americans I've seen over the years are silent of the abuses that are committed by African leaders on their own people, like with a Mugabe, for example. But if that leader was a white person, they would be all over it. International protests, so on and so forth. Our leaders on the continent deserve the same scrutiny. There are great leaders on the continent doing incredible things. But we also have to be realistic. And that's what I am encouraging everybody who is African American, who's talking about engaging with the African continent. Please don't go there with a racist view. Don't go there with a romanticized view. Go for a realistic view. Do your research. What's happening in Ghana is not the same as what's happening in Ethiopia. What's happening in Zimbabwe is not the same as what's happening in Angola. Do your research. See what's happening with the people. And where can you plug in a way that's going to help you be part of the people as opposed to exploiting the people that we see happen from many other visitors to the continent who decide to stay there and become expatriates, including many African Americans, to be quite honest. I've been to about 12 African countries to date. I got more to visit. But I've always dreamed of the unity that could happen between people from the United States, from the Caribbean, and African diaspora. But it has to be done the right way. It has to be done the right way. So all of y'all who are praising leaders in the West, like Burkina Faso, the Traore, do the research. And my hope is that everything is as beautiful as it seems. So talk to the people who are from there. They're not hard to find. And are there areas that you may find that are problematic that you can critique? Many of the Pan-Africanist leaders that we had throughout our history had bad human rights records. And this isn't me talking about the Western critique, I've seen it myself. And so that's my take. I would love to know what your thoughts are. Where are you getting your thoughts from? Where are you getting your opinions from as it relates to the African continent? Y'all who are on the continent who are watching right now, what are your thoughts about engagement with the African American community? This should be an international conversation, and I've been here for it all my life through my work, through my poetry, but I would love to make space for this conversation right here. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. Peace.